Hi, my name's Pete, and this is Ivy Cottage. Some viewers have been commenting that our safety isn't maybe as good as it should be, and we tend to agree. A few more hard hats, a few more pairs of glasses wouldn't go astray. So we decided the best and most responsible thing to do would be to take on a health and safety advisor during this build. So may I introduce to you Wolfie. So one of the things I said we did was that we disconnect the electricity from the house for safety. So all the water's disconnected already, and I got an electrician to come in there in the last few days, and these are the old fuses that were up on the wall behind me and the old main switch, and this distributes the electricity through all the sockets and lights throughout the house. The problem is if we come in contact with one of those cables, we could electrocute ourselves. So I got the electrician to come in, and he's actually disconnected the ESB, and he's left me with one little main trip switch, and a trip switch then for this outdoor socket, and that's the only power I have in the building. So if I come across a cable in the kitchen or the sitting room or in one of the bedrooms, I know now that it's not live, that it's dead, and I can remove that cable safely. We've got this spur coming off the socket, coming onto this socket, and then I've got a plug to go in. I can power all my tools that way. Here I've got my halogen lamp that I've used for years to help work and keep things light as I work around the house. Unfortunately, it's got a bit old and it's starting to fall apart, and also these lamps get really hot, and they can be unsafe to move around the place, and if for any reason you did make contact with them, they give you a very bad burn. So I've decided it's time to retire this lamp, and I've got some new ones. I'm just going to plug that out. There we go. The stand is still good on this, so I'm going to keep using that as a fine sturdy stand. But if I take that bolt out of there, I can reuse this on the new lamp. Put that down. We've embraced modern technology. We've got these lovely slimline LED lights. I had to drill out the base of it just a small bit just to take this nut. But I got two of these lamps for £23 sterling on a very famous retailer online beginning with A, no guesses, and I'm just putting it together there now. It's a 300 watt LED lamp, and you'll see the light off it now. It's actually particularly good, and the good thing is it doesn't get hot, and it's IP66 rated, so it's good for out in wet conditions, well, except for the plug isn't. So there we go. So that's going to light up the house as the evenings get darker and move into the winter months. At least we'll still be able to see as we start to renovate the Ivy Cottage here. I've been spending a bit of time here in the evenings just after work, trying to get a bit more work done on the project here. And I've also been shopping. I've picked up a few bits that I need for continuing the build. All the concrete floors down here need to come out of the house, and in order to take them out, I need to have a Kango hammer to break the floors. I looked online and found a variety of different Kango hammers that I could get, but some of them lacked in power, and I'd seen a couple of demonstrations of them on YouTube where they just didn't have enough force to break concrete. And then I managed to spot the Aldi Kango hammer was for sale just when I needed it. This is a 1900 watt Kango hammer, and it weighs in at 22 kgs it says. I think perhaps that's including the box. And it comes with two chisels. I had a little look online just to see what I was buying basically, and it said it was 1900 watt. And I was looking at it and looking at YouTube, looking at different videos, and it seemed to do the job properly. But what I did notice then was that somebody had referred to it as a hammer breaker. So I decided to Google that, and I found a link to a tool called a Shepak AB1900, which turns out to be this tool. Now this is labelled Ferrex, but I'd be fairly well convinced that this is actually made by a tool company called Shepak, and it looks identical in every single way apart from the name badge. And it comes with two fine chisels, a pointed one and a blade as well. So this is the pointed one, and it just sits in there. You pull that lever, and that's locked in, and it's ready to go. So it's a fine Kango hammer, lovely and heavy, and it delivers 60 joules of energy into the ground when in operation. And this handle here as well, it can swivel around to whatever position feels comfortable for you. There's an on button there, and there's a continuous on button by pressing the secondary button there, and that'll keep the Kango in the on position. And it seems to do quite a good job breaking the concrete. We'll show you there in a minute, and you'll probably see in the course of the videos us breaking up the concrete on the floors here, which is going to take quite some time, but it's something we have to do in order to get the underfloor heating in and pour new floors and have damp-proof membranes underneath as well. So this is something we're going to use a lot of, but I think it's going to stand up to the test of time. We'll find out for sure at the end of it. So this is the new breaker, the Aldi 1900 watt breaker that I think is a Shetback AB 1900 breaker. The other thing I've been shopping for is scaffolding. I need scaffolding for going around the house to get up onto the roof and perhaps take a plaster off walls and re-roof the property. And also for demolition work, it's handy to have a bit of scaffolding up so I don't have to use ladders. Ladders aren't the safest to work off, whereas scaffolding is a nice firm platform to work on. The only problem with scaffolding is it tends to be a bit of a funny thing to buy. I got a quote for what I needed to buy second-hand scaffolding. It was going to cost me €2,250 for scaffolding that I could almost buy new for that price. It didn't seem to make sense. Luckily, I had a friend who had all the metal staging for the scaffolding that I need, but he didn't have boards and he didn't have feet. So I went on to Dundeal and I managed to get these legs here. These are jacks, as they're called. So I managed to get these. Now they're not in wonderful condition, but they're acceptable and they'll do well for what I need. They're not going up very high with the scaffolding and the threads are okay on them. I had to free up the little, I suppose, revolving nut on them. They were all seized up, but I just released those and I've greased them up to just a small bit to make them work. So that's what I have. I have 20 of those, and I've a nice bit of the metal scaffolding. And I decided that just for safety, I went and I bought new boards, nice strong brand new scaffolding boards. Second-hand boards, they're okay, you can do well, but I'm going up on the scaffolding. If I fall, that's my fault, that's okay, but I also have family going up on the scaffolding as well. I'm not prepared to take the risk that one of them would get hurt due to a faulty board or a slightly rotten board. So I've got brand new, you can't go wrong. I can use them for shelving afterwards, or I can sell them on if I need to. So that's the scaffolding boards. So with all the things that I've bought recently, you might think that money is no object. It isn't. I'm on quite a tight budget for this build, but some of the things that I need to buy, I just have to buy. You can't take shortcuts where you're not purchasing things that you desperately need because you'll cause yourself an accident, or you'll get hurt, or you'll just do a half job that's not going to stand the test of time. So for that reason I did have to buy things, but I've saved a considerable amount of money by just buying the boards and the legs, and I'm borrowing the scaffolding from a very, very dear friend of mine. He's a very kind person to lend me the scaffolding, and especially the time that I'm going to need it for. I'm very grateful for that. The Kango hammer was just over €100, so that's incredibly good for a 1900 watt Kango hammer, so I thank Aldi for that. And then the lights that I bought they were £23 sterling on the internet, so I haven't spent a whole pile of money there. But I think the thing is, when you take on a project like this, there is going to be a cost to get to the point where you strip back the house so you can start building again, and to get to that point is going to cost an amount of money. And I think in the case of this build, it's going to cost about €3,500 to get this house back to the point where everything's been taken out that is needed so that I can start building again. And it's a cost you have to bear in mind if you're thinking of renovating a house, is how much is it going to cost to get back to the bare bones so that you can start putting the house right again. And the cost here, for me, I believe, is about €3,500, and most of that is going to be taken up with actually disposing of the rubble and the slates and the timber and whatever else comes out of the house that I don't need. So I'll keep you posted as we go along as to what the actual cost has been and will be for getting rid of all the waste and the bits and pieces, the tools, the scaffolding and everything else that I need to get this place sorted out and to get it ready to start renovating. This is the front porch on the house, and as we've said before, it doesn't have planning permission, so it's time to start taking this down. The first thing I'm going to do is take the glass out of the windows, because it would be better to try and recycle it than to smash the whole thing up and have bits of glass all over the place. So what I'm doing is gently removing each pane at a time, and when that's done then I can start taking off the roof and working down along the structure. So I start by just taking out the bead around the edge. It's held in by little panel pins, and that comes out easy enough. Then these little pins must be bent backwards because they'll stop the glass from coming out. And I'll keep going all the way around the window, removing the bead bit by bit. There we go. And now the bottom one. And now the other side. Now, and the next step is just to cut on the edge with a knife, just to break the silicone. Yet again, push back the panel pins. There's about 4 across the top and down the side. Now, and now I must go inside and gently wedge the glass out. You might have seen me climbing through the window here and not through the door, and the reason for that is I don't have a key. Now, that's all 8 panes removed from the conservatory here, or sunroom or whatever it is, porch. 8 panes of the glass removed. I have just the top ones to remove now, so that's going to be the next job. We're going to start on that. No, and that's the last sheet out. Shame about the plant holder on the wall, but I did get the glass out in one piece. So that's all the glass panes out now. They're all safe and sound, stacked up, ready for recycling. So it's kind to the environment, and at least it means I don't have to pick shards and shards of glass up off the ground from being a bit reckless with a sledgehammer. It's taken just over an hour, and I think it's time well spent. So the evening is drawing in, and it's the end of another day. I just came here for a few hours after my normal day job, just to do a few jobs, and I managed to get all that glass out of the front porch with just a few tools. The way I did it with those tools is maybe not the best way. It might not be the worst way either. I don't know. I'm not a professional. So don't copy what I do. Make up your mind how you want to do the jobs, or call a professional. That's something you should think carefully about before you do any job. Is it safe for you to do? For me, I feel this is safe for me to do, so that's why I did it. Now, it's starting to rain here a little bit this evening. It always does when you have a nice outdoor job to do that you thought would be easy, but we'll get on with it anyway. So there's the felt off now, the slates are off obviously, and I've just taken off the battens too. So I'm ready to start cutting into these timbers. Obviously there's a bit of a stretch to the centre, so I have to be careful because it's a long drop. So we'll just take it bit by bit. So now we've got to the stage that the roof is off the porch, and it's time to take out the front door and out these side panels. It's starting to get a bit wet, so I'm going to pack it in soon for the evening. And although the light is good on the camera, it's starting to get dark here. So yeah, the door's got to come out. I haven't got a key, so I'm going to have to use the master key. I have one over here. That should do it. Now, that's it for the evening. That's my work done. The rain is really coming down now, and I'm tired after today's work and after taking down this lot. So I'll leave that till the morning. I'll cut it up, we'll get it ready for recycling, and we'll take that down to the recycling centre. So tomorrow we might take out the walls and the floor and clear this area entirely, ready to get on with the next step. So tonight, from me, Ivy Cottage, we'll say good night and see you in the morning.